If the fence rests, let's lay it down. Gonna dig deep, wave that verdict round. The defense rests, time to analyze. With the evidence, we'll unveil the crime. Justice served in an honest fight. True crime tales till the verdict's right. Solving more than just trivial quests, where sentences rule at the defense rests.
Hello. Now, I just need to do a audio test, if I may. Can you hear me? Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. Can you hear me? Can anyone hear me? Oh, scroll down a bit more. That's a yes from Anna, is it? There's always one. Always. Good morning. I apologise. I've had a bit of IT issues this evening, and for a good reason. Yeah, and I feel like I'm like in the spotlight. I think my light might be a bit bright. Yeah, we need to turn that down. No one wants to see this. Yes, I labelled today Friendship Friday for a good reason, because I just wanted to recognise an amazing friend that I have. She knows who she is. She's very, very sneaky. So Tanya came and picked me up today, and we went and got our lashes done. So we're all luscious now. Luscious lash. And then brought me home, and then she sends me a text message a couple of hours later and says, expect an Uber. Merry Christmas. I did nails yesterday. It's been maintenance week. And I'm like, what are you talking about? What? Anyway, lo and behold, she sends me, I get an Uber, and she sends me this. Now, it's something that I have wanted for a long, long time, and it's something that is going to make streaming amazing. And the cheeky shit, it's not a cheap item by any means. And yeah, she had me in tears. So, Tanya, thank you. And I rang her, and I said to her, I feel really bad now. She said, why? I said, because I've just bought you a colouring book. Tanya does all the, the little intricate colouring with your gel pens that you make beautiful pictures and stuff out of. That's what she does. Oh, there she is. Yeah, turd. I've just been talking you up. Yeah. And she does some beautiful pictures, and it's the ones that, yeah, are supposed to calm you down, and she loves it. So I found one that was an adult version. And it will be arriving tomorrow. I got a notification today. I'm like, oh, I feel really bad. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yup. I don't even think I've ever had a thoughtful present, not from anybody. Family. Yep. No one. So thank you. Mwah. So I plugged it all in, and then I couldn't get my headphones working. I couldn't get audio. I couldn't get feedback. So that's why I've been sitting here going, ah. So yes, she is lovely. She is lovely. Far, far too generous. Yeah. Yep. You know, you can choose your friends. Speaking of that, remember me yesterday saying, why is Christmas and family bullshit always get in the way? Well, the bullshit that I had with my sister-in-law prevented her from alerting me that my brother was admitted to hospital today. Really? Really? Yeah, because that's not important, you know, just because you're a bitch. Anywho, I could see your green eyes. I know. So you pay attention. Men don't. And I didn't even mean it that way. I just, yeah, it's because it's something that I've been looking at for over 2 years. And I know what they're worth, madam. So thank you. Yes, he's been having little mini strokes. He's got a little hole in his heart that I remember him having from birth, and yeah, he's on blood thinners, but yeah, he went in today to have the ultrasound down through his mouth to see, because it's at the back of the heart, so that's the best way they could see it. And he had, he had a stroke on the table. So his speech is a bit affected, but they have discharged him now. But I had to hear that from my mum, who's in Queensland. Yeah, so, yeah, bullshit. So, oh, that's better. Today is day 5. We have closings, and they are on verdict watch. Let me just go back in. I'm hoping that they will have had a verdict by the time we've heard closings, because I didn't think it would take that long. Maybe I'm just being A5. All right. So I'm just starting to work it out now. I've got to get I thought your audio went through that. It's like, I thought it was an audio deck, so to speak, but it's got nowhere for me to put them in. So I've had to plug them manually into the PC for now. So I will work it out, though. I will work it out. You miss me? I haven't gone anywhere. I've been here. I'm still here. Yes, they are still are today. I don't think morning will have a verdict. Yeah, there's two jury questions today. And I'm going to skip the jury instructions. So we go do closings. What have we got? We've got closings, defense closings, rebuttal. Yeah, and then we go into verdict watch with 2 questions. So we might be able to find something else to amuse us. I know that I sent you the video, the link, Teresa, last night, of the Christmas lights that Miss Mandy had up, and that looked awesome. You got a lot done during, yeah. The only jury instructions I've actually ever been interested in listening to were the Sarah Boone ones, for believe it or not. Just the way it pertained to the battered wife syndrome. So, yeah. So, let's get into it, shall we?
Good afternoon. In October of 2021, Mr. Ferlazzo and his wife, Emily, made a plan to come to Vermont for a weekend for their one-year anniversary. You heard from Emily's mother that Emily was excited. She was looking forward to meeting her sister-in-law, Nicole. She was in a good mood, and she was looking forward to the trip. They drove up here in their van with their dog from New Hampshire on the evening of Friday, October 15th of 2021. They arrived in Vermont at the Bear Run condos at 7:20 p.m. They parked at a condo complex
awesome.
on Bear Run in Bolton. They met.
Look up Elgato Stream Deck, sorry. And yeah, she didn't just get me the mini either. She got me the big one. And it's all one touch. So if I wanted to, I've managed to program my YouTube channel in it. So if I get to the computer on, I press a button and it takes me straight there. It's got sound effects. It's got all sorts of stuff. You can start and stop live streams. All your apps are in there. Everything. I'm going to have fun tomorrow.
Met with Nicole for about 15 minutes out in the parking lot inside the van with a plan for Mr. Ferlazzo and Emily to meet them inside the Airbnb to catch up, watch Netflix, and hang out. But they never did. And we know that Emily sent her last Facebook message to her family at 8:13 p.m. We know that Mr. Ferlazzo sent a text message to his sister Nicole inside the Airbnb at 9:39 p.m. Hey, we're going to take the night to rest, smiley face. You still drink coffee? We'll see you tomorrow morning. Shortly after, Emily's last location data from her Facebook is logged as 10:14 p.m. Instead of going inside and spending time with his sister.
Oh, 10. Write down in chat. I've got another idea. What flavors you like for that vape I sent you, and I can order that.
Mr. Ferlazzo and Emily argued. They argued because Mr. Ferlazzo had brought Emily on their one-year anniversary to the very same condo complex that his ex-wife lived. They argued because Mr. Ferlazzo seemed to believe that he didn't have any obligations to be monogamous with his wife, be faithful to her. And she told him she was done. She told him she did not want to be with him, that she could not do it anymore, and that she wanted to leave. And 1 minute after midnight, Mr. Ferlazzo turns off his phone. Done arguing, Emily laid down in bed while Mr. Ferlazzo stayed up and stewed. He became enraged at Emily while she lay in bed scrolling on her phone with her head on her pillow. Mr. Ferlazzo sat on the couch thinking, planning. For what he told police was 5 to 10 minutes. For at least 5 minutes, Mr. Ferlazzo sits on the couch and stews.
So you want to play guitar, but you think to yourself, I could never do that. And you think learning is boring and dry. Here's the deal. It doesn't have to be.
I have YouTube Premium. What the fuck is that? The fuck, YouTube? What the fuck? I might have to go into my settings. That's bizarre. What's she waiting for? Oh, really? She got a timer? Really? Yeah, still saying that I'm YouTube Premium. Mhm. Really? No. I'm on Court TV. That's what I thought it was. All right. Oh! I'm going to refresh this page because I don't do ads. I pay enough money for that.
Not leaving him.
Thank you.
I don't even know. Like, I just know that I sat down and was.
Yeah.
I don't know. Something inside my head, just
I've never seen commercials on this.
I remember feeling warm, and I remember feeling blurry, and I don't know. Something inside me said enough is enough.
Something inside of him said, enough
is
is enough. But instead of walking away from Emily, going into his sister's Airbnb, out of the van, instead he executes his plan. He got up from the couch. He went to the closet. He grabbed this Glock 19 with this silencer. He walked over to the bed. Emily's head was resting on this pillow. He picked up this throw pillow from the couch. He jumped onto the bed. He put this throw pillow over her face, and he shot her once and twice, directly into the left side of her head, killing her. Both of those bullets exited her skull on the right side of her head and came to rest inside the very pillow that her head was laying on.
You jumped on her. Did she say anything to you?
Something like, are you fucking kidding me? You gotta be fucking kidding me.
And then,
Apparently there's apps you can download onto this Stream Deck that helps clear the background noise. I'm going to try and use the the crappy free version that I've got to do that.
what was her reaction to you?
Whoa.
It was
That
just
didn't work.
like that. Just jumped on her. She said, are you kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me?
Did she try to fight you or anything like that? And how long did you have to wait was it between when you jumped on her and when you fired the first shot? And how about the second shot? So I don't want to put words in her mouth or anything. I'm just trying to understand. So essentially, correct me if I'm wrong, you jumped on her and bang bang. Like that. Is that how it happened?
I think you shook her head no, but when Seth asked you if she
trying to put up a fight? Did you say yes or no? There was no fight. Okay.
The evidence presented in this trial shows that Emily posed no threat to Mr.
Then he said
Ferlazzo.
she sat
And
up.
in fact, his story that she had a gun was directly contradicted by the fact that both of the pistols were his. Emily did not have a gun. His story that he remembers Emily's body falling after he killed her is directly contradicted by the physical and forensic evidence. Dr. Shapiro told you that her head was resting on something when she was killed. And immediately after killing her, rather than calling 911, any police agency, his ex-wife, or his sister, who was just yards away from him, Mr. Ferlazzo instead shuts off Emily's phone because, in his words, quote, he wasn't going to use it and she wasn't going to use it. After he shut off her phone, Mr. Ferlazzo puts a Market Basket shopping bag over Emily's head, tied a garbage bag around her neck, used his 6-foot, 200-pound body to carry her 5'1", 130-pound body into the shower. He bagged up this bloody pillow, bagged up this red throw pillow. He bagged up this bloody pillowcase, this bloody sheet. He then put her shoes, her glasses, her wallet, and her phone in a plastic grocery bag, but was careful to keep her ID. He put new sheets, a new blanket, and new pillows on the bed, and he turns his phone back on at 1:35 a.m. Then he turns it off at 2:10 and back on at 3:39 a.m. Then he gets back in the very bed he just killed his wife in. And just a few hours later at 7:48 a.m., while his wife's body is in his shower, he texts his sister, "I can't sleep. Any interest in going for breakfast?" And even makes a recommendation on where to go. "Maxie's has really good breakfast, exclamation point. I just French pressed some coffee. Have you had coffee yet?" And off they go to Maxie's, where Mr. Ferlazzo has eggs and a mimosa. Then he drives his van from Bolton to St. Albans, parks the van on the property of his best friend. And rather than telling them that Emily's in the van, that he killed her, that he had to kill her, he tells them she took off. And then he sets up shop and starts to give his sister a tattoo. But not before sending Emily's phone a text message. "Whatever, exclamation point and angry face. I'm gonna spend time with Nikki while I can, exclamation point. Call me." And 3 hours later, he finishes his sister's tattoo. And an hour after that, he goes out to eat again, this time at Twig's, a gastropub in St. Albans. He eats dinner, he has drinks, and he gets a ride back to the Lang residence, and he again sleeps in the van with Emily's body still in the shower. And the next day, he goes out to Burlington with his sister, he gets coffee, and again, he goes out to eat. And again, he says nothing to Nicole about what he did to Emily. And after gallivanting around downtown, he heads back to St. Albans, and on his way, he stops at Hannaford to buy bleach. Because despite him continuing with his life as if nothing has happened, he does have a mess to clean up. That night, he hangs out with friends around a campfire.
He probably blamed her
Two
for
of his
making a
best
mess of
friends
the
and an
shit.
off-duty police officer. He engages in small talk. Doesn't mention Emily once. Doesn't even mention that he has a wife, as if she just doesn't exist. You've heard testimony that the campfire wraps up around midnight when Mr. Ferlazzo gets back into the van, and while Emily's body lays feet away from him, he sends her phone another text message. The same phone that he turned off after killing her because she wasn't going to need it, and the same phone he threw away somewhere between Bolton and St. Albans.
In the river.
"This is far enough, exclamation point, exclamation point. Get your ass home, exclamation point. I gotta go back to New Hampshire. Are you coming back?" And amongst all of these activities, he decides that he needs to make her body easier to carry, easier to move, and easier to discard. Mr. Felazzo uses this serrated saw and dismembers her arms, her legs, her feet, and her head. He dismembers them from her torso. The same torso, absolutely riddled with stab wounds, including one striking her heart. 3 different knives had her DNA on them. At least 3 different knives were used to stab her heart 1 time, her abdomen 8 times, and her back 9 times.
What the fuck?
Then he puts each piece of her body in garbage bags. And on Monday morning, before leaving for New Hampshire to get his Jeep, which he told you he needed in order to bury Emily's body in the woods, he just can't help himself. Knowing full well exactly where she is and what he has done to her, he texts her phone one last time. You're an asshole. I don't deserve this shit. You're an asshole. I don't deserve this shit. Ms. Adams told you in the state's opening statement that this case and this crime is about ego, Mr. Ferlazzo's ego, and Mr. Ferlazzo's nearly 42-year-old ego being unable to accept his 22-year-old wife disrespecting him. That ego believed it was his right to cheat on Emily, to have relationships with other women, whether she liked it or not. That same ego believed it was his right to follow Emily one day when she wore her hair a different way and he didn't think she was being truthful to him. That ego was so inflated that even after shooting his wife in the head 2 times, stabbing and dismembering her body, bagging her up and discarding her like trash, he didn't tell his sister because he didn't want to make a bad impression with her boyfriend. So inflated that he didn't tell his sister because he'd promised not to, quote, dump his drama on her. He considered killing his wife drama. An ego so inflated that after killing her, taking her life because he didn't like the things she was saying to him, because she didn't want to be with him anymore, he calls her an asshole. He tells her that he doesn't deserve this. The state submits that it is Emily, and only Emily, that did not deserve this. All of the credible evidence presented by the state during this trial, the witness statements, the physical evidence, the forensic evidence, was checked and verified. The details of her death, the details of the weekend of the dismemberment, the trip back to New Hampshire was all corroborated, checked, verified, proven beyond a reasonable doubt. We are confident that you will find that Mr. Ferlazzo killed Emily and that that killing was unlawful. There was no legal justification for it. It was willful, it was intentional, it was deliberate, and it was premeditated. And the state requests that you find him guilty of first-degree murder.
Absolutely.
Ms. Jansch.
Thank you, Judge. I do plan to make this copy. This is in my way.
Short and sweet, please.
Help me.
Yeah. Direct to the point.
What I
You
said
married
to you
him, I-
now and what Attorney George just said to you is not evidence. We're just giving you our spin on what we hope that you will conclude after your deliberations. It's up to you and only you to decide what the evidence shows. Not what I say, not what she said. You are the finders of fact, not us.
More info.
There's been some conflicting evidence in this case, some undisputed evidence. You've seen the video of what Mr. Ferlazzo Joseph told the police on the day he was arrested and detained. You know that in that video, and as he told you yesterday, he hadn't slept for multiple days, hadn't eaten. He says multiple times, my mind is scrambled, I'm not thinking.
She hadn't eaten. He'd been out 3
But there
times.
is a roughly 2.5 hour recorded statement of what he tells the police happened. one of your jobs is going to be to decide if that was the whole story. If he was able, because of lack of sleep, the events that had transpired over the weekend prevented him from being clear and rational. You heard him tell you yesterday he has no memory whatsoever of that
Absolutely.
interview. None.
Uh-huh.
He said it was like watching himself if he'd been at a party and been blackout drunk. He's seen that video, I think, 3 times now. He told you yesterday that he was revolted by his apparent detachment in describing the events of what happened over that weekend. And you saw him on multiple occasions express emotion in talking and thinking and remembering what happened. The detachment that
Because his ego is so big, he thinks he could get away with it. That's the only reason he testified. Well, it would take me 5 minutes, but that includes reading the verdict form.
described, his demeanor, is part of his habitual. He said he was a closed person, very private.
Liar.
Didn't
Habitual
like to
liar.
express his feelings. And it's something he learned from childhood, something he
He
learned
didn't say that.
in the
wasn't
course of his work
drinking
as a
juice
tattoo
from the
artist,
bowl.
how to compartmentalize feelings, emotions. He told you as a tattoo artist, he'd learned that because it hurts, you make small talk with people and distract them from the pain that they're experiencing. This is just habit for him. It comes across, as he described, as revolting detachment, but it's his way of coping. What he told you yesterday is not what he told the police. He explained to you that his memory of what happened ended at some point that weekend. He remembers the events now. He remembers the events leading up to him shooting Emily. He remembers some of the events of Saturday, what he did. He doesn't remember much, if anything, of Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. He told you that
Bullshit.
after he had had an opportunity to sleep for a couple of days, he came to and he started having nightmares and remembering things, bits and pieces. And even as he talked to you yesterday, he said his memory is fragmented, very fragmented. And he is struggling to understand what happened and why. What he told you yesterday is that over the course of their relationship, Emily had become physically abusive to him. The reasons the state would have you believe is that the state would have you believe that he's an egomaniac. It's up to you to decide if you saw any evidence of that in his demeanor or his testimony yesterday. That he shot her because she disrespected him. He told you clearly about how many times she had hit him with objects, with cell phone, with her fists, with a laptop, with a wine bottle. Gave him a black eye once. And he...
Where's the evidence of that?
He said, I would take her arms and restrain her. Until she calmed down and say, we don't hit, we don't hit. They even went to a counselor together to address issues in their relationship. He said, I grew up with domestic violence and I didn't want to bring a child into a relationship like that. That was his experience of interacting with Emily when she became frustrated and acted out physically against him. He told you that that weekend they were coming up here to see his sister and to celebrate their anniversary.
Yeah.
They got here, they were both happy to be coming, both
Guarantee you
excited.
that's not what he said.
And on a dime, she flipped. I don't want to be here. F you, F your family. I'm done. He's not denying that he sent texts to his sister.
Oh, absolutely.
He's not denying much of what the state's evidence shows. He knows that and told you, yeah, I lied. I lied because I didn't want to I didn't want to tell my sister because you may or may not agree with this explanation. She didn't want his drama in her life. You heard the state say killing his wife was drama. Well, you have to put yourself in his shoes and his thinking.
No thanks.
But in any case, that was his explanation for why he didn't tell Nikki about what he had done. That is shooting his wife in the head. So that weekend they come up, they get into an argument. He told you clearly that She had been muttering and angry, and when he put on the candles, she was angry about that. And she picked up one of the candles and started hitting him. Hit him in the head, hit him in the arms, hit him in the torso, kicked him in the groin. He was able to stop that attack. He took the candle away from her, and then he took their dog out, Remy. It was raining. They went out for a walk. He had also told you earlier that he thought he saw coyotes and was afraid potentially about bears. And that's why he told her, get your Taurus and keep your peace with you. And he kept his Glock with him. There's no dispute that the guns were his. That doesn't mean she didn't use it. He said, she preferred the Taurus because the barrel was shorter, or the handle. He used the Glock. That was hers, that was his. Legal ownership is not the issue. So they both had access to their guns that night. He comes back in from walking the dog. She's on the bed, scrolling through her phone, muttering. And he pours himself a drink, one of the many that he had that night, many. Vodka and Red Bull. At some
What about
point,
marijuana?
so he drives the dog off, drives himself off, and at some point decides, okay, now I'm going
That'll
to
make you paranoid.
In order to do that, he has to climb across Emily. Emily
Hello?
says something. Fuck you, something like that. He picks up the red.
Good evening. Have you watched this rubbish? That's evening here, sorry.
red pillow, which was
Good morning.
right on the little couch they had next to the bed, and his pillow. Swats her in the head with it. She turns to him and says, that's it, you're dead. That's it, you're dead.
Mm-hmm.
She elbows him in the groin.
Mm-hmm.
I had that backwards. First, she elbowed him in the groin. Then he picked up the pillow and swatted her. Then he saw, she said, that's it, you're dead.
Ladies?
He saw her start to pick up the gun and shoot him. And you were going to tell you, I was terrified. I knew she was going to shoot me. That was his belief based on circumstances of that evening, what she said to him, the history of their relationship. He truly believed that she was going to shoot him and that he had to shoot her with the Glock that was already in his hand in order to
I haven't
save
seen
his own
Brad
life.
today.
That's what he told you yesterday. It's not what he told the
You might
police,
be looking.
but that's what he now remembers happening. He also told you, I felt a wave. This he did tell the police. I felt a wave come
Hang
over me. I was hot. I couldn't take it anymore. I felt blurry, loss of focus. All of that contributed to his decision, and it was a decision to shoot her. Then what? Then what happens? Well, he has some memory of sitting beside her body. He's told you a couple of times. I was talking to her at various points over the next couple of days. This is a man who was somewhat, if not heavily intoxicated, also smoking marijuana, just experienced a trauma, and is grasping, what do I do now?
Experienced the trauma.
What do I do? When he talked to you about this, you saw him break down and become emotional and cry.
Mhm.
This is not someone who is a cold-blooded murderer. He cared about his wife. You
Still
heard him
calling
describe
bullshit.
their early relationship as euphoric and magnetic. He was in love with her. He kept telling her, this is not how we treat each other. You don't hit people. But on this night, he truly believed that she was going to shoot him. And that's why he shot her. So over the course of the rest of that night and into Saturday, he made attempts to prevent anyone knowing what had happened to Emily. He doesn't deny sending some of those texts. Some of them he doesn't remember. Some of them
He was
does.
in love with
And he
himself.
told you, I lied.
And
I know I lied.
she was a
From what you
trophy.
can remember. He was intending to try and go back to Pennsylvania to help his grandmother. You can decide whether or not you think that was a good enough reason for what he did, but that was how he was thinking at the time. He also said, I wanted to give her a burial. He has no recollection of stabbing her. None. None. The medical examiner told you there's no way of knowing when those injuries were inflicted, except that they were not immediately following death. Similar to the dismemberment, they also were not immediately following her death. This is not an easy case because on the one hand, you have verifiable evidence of what happened. But what you don't have is the why. Mr. Ferlazzo gave you the why yesterday. He explained why he did what he did. Your biggest job is going to be to decide, is he lying now just to get away with it? Is what he told the police in that interview the whole truth? He told you he has only partial memory of the events that followed, and he admits, I shot her. He knows, he's admitting that. That's not what this case is about. This case is about why did he shoot her? Ego, or someone who had been pushed to the point where they could no longer tolerate being hit. And I know, he's big, a man, 20 years older. She was a little girl. You heard him tell you that she hit him and hurt him each time. She hit him with a bottle, hit him in the head with a wine bottle, hit him in the head with a big Yankee candle. That hurts. You can do that however small or the discrepancy in your size. And he didn't hit her back, not once. The judge is going to instruct you on the rules of the law in this case, and it's not my job to do that. Your job is to assess what you heard him say yesterday, how he appeared, what you think about whether he's lying or not. That's your job. I don't envy you because I think it's a hard job, but that's what you will be asked to do. What do you believe is the truth? What he told you yesterday or what he said to the police? I think that you will find him not guilty of first-degree murder and acquit him on the grounds of self-defense. Thank you.
Ms. George, do you have a final summation?
What is it? You mean the computer thing, Christine? That was from Tanya, not Tricia. And I don't know what do you have JB Hi-Fi over there? An electronics shop, anyone that sells gaming or computers, they'll have it all. She said, let her know I'll be there soon.
Mr. Ferlazzo claims that he doesn't remember what he told police, that he doesn't remember being in the interview with police, and that he doesn't remember much of the night he killed her, and that his memories were not full at the time and are still fragmented. Luckily for Mr. Ferlazzo and for all of us,
you remembered that though, didn't he?
every single word that Mr. Ferlazzo said to the police about what happened to Emily was recorded. The reason that Trooper Cody turned on his body camera when he called Mr. Ferlazzo. The reason that Detective Voris did the interview in a room equipped with video and audio. The reason that Detective Voris made sure to have an extra recorder on his body when he went into different places, went to the breaks, went to the holding cell, just in case.
Yeah.
The reason was all to make sure that everything Mr. Ferlazzo said about what happened to Emily was recorded and that we would all be able to refresh his memory. You all heard every word that he said to the police just days after he killed Emily. We played you every video, every recording. You have the transcripts. There are no secrets here about what was said or done. There are no mysteries. And immediately after signing the Miranda warning with Detective Voris, Joseph was ready to talk.
All right. So, Joe, is it fair to say that you have an idea of what we want to talk about? Yeah. All right. I'm here to talk to you. Like, you don't have to be here. Okay. I'm sure you already talked to Spencer. I fucked up. Like I said, like, I have a fucking lapse. And did something that I can't undo. So here we are.
And less than 2 minutes after that,
So I came to Vermont. I was living in New Hampshire for like the last 2 months with my wife and her family. And I came to Vermont. We were supposed to have like a weekend away, vacation, just camping, like have some fun. And like as soon as I put the vehicle in park, like my wife went completely psychotic. And I shot her. That's first was that. And now here we are. So, all right. Can you, where did that happen? Bolton, Vermont. Okay. All right. So, I guess my next question is, when did that happen? Saturday. Do you know about what time? Saturday evening? All right. No. Saturday morning. I think I was thinking. It was like, yeah, it was Saturday morning.
the state believes that the interview, the recordings, and the transcripts of the same all show that Mr. Ferlazzo was ready, he was willing, and he was able to give a coherent, a voluntary statement. You saw for yourself how he interacted with police throughout this interview, and you saw for yourself how he presented on the stand. You heard him outline in the interview with police in great detail what led up to shooting Emily twice in the head, and never, not once, did he say that Emily was a threat to him, that she had a gun, that he thought she was going to kill him. In fact, what you heard him say repeatedly when asked multiple times was that she had stopped fighting.
Can you describe Emily when you shot her? Like, what was she doing? She had stopped fighting, and she had gone and laid down, and then jumped on top of her. And I shot her. How many times?
She had stopped fighting, she had gone and laid down.
There she
I went
is.
and jumped on her, and I shot her in the head. The physical and forensic evidence shows that Mr. Ferlazzo did not act in self-defense. Just days later, he had no injuries, no bumps, no lumps, no bruises, no scratches, no burn marks from this alleged burning candle that was wrestled over during this interaction that he testified to yesterday. The physical and forensic evidence shows that this was willful, that he intended to do it. His actions were deliberate. They were not provoked under any circumstances, and they were premeditated. He planned to kill her during that 5 minutes, and he executed that plan. Mr. Ferlazzo's statement to police is detailed, it's thoughtful, it's thorough. At times, you see him correct himself if he gets a detail wrong. He goes out of his way to correct it with police. He's given opportunities to warm up, to sleep, to eat, to drink, to smoke. He was given numerous breaks. He had time to contemplate and correct inaccuracies, fill in the details when police asked for them.
And while this was, while she was watching the bed, where were you with
Oh, I'm sitting right here. Very touch on that. Sure. I think we had asked where
The surname.
was currently, but where did did you get it from? That was in the closet. Where's the closet? It was in the closet. Okay. I was on the couch.
Sarah George.
Okay. And,
Hasn't got a wedding ring on.
I just like got up and grabbed it.
At no point during his statement does he ever say anything about Emily being a threat to him. At numerous points, you heard him talk about the feeling that he had before he did it, that he felt warm, and he specifically described that feeling as rage, how he wanted to stop her, and how he made a decision to do that.
Oh,
I remember sitting there
On the couch.
just trying to like,
rug up in the nice soft blankie on the couch.
I remember just watching the rain. It was like, when I was on vacation, I was just trying to enjoy myself and stay out of the rain.
How far is Vermont from Florida? And actually, would you believe there is a suburb about 5 minutes from me that's called Vermont?
And you guys try to relax and you just know.
What's that?
Trying to build my peace. And it was just like, I just felt this big come over me. Yeah, it was like,
What did that make you feel? Like you talked about before, like you felt like a warm sensation in your body.
I think it's loss of focus, rage, heat.
Were you feeling angry or were you feeling sad or how were you feeling?
Felt
Yeah.
pushed, fed up.
I don't.
Pushed and
We
fed.
probably do, but they're a different name brand than we have. It's probably the same ingredients, but we know them as a different name. I'll have a look.
In defense counsel's arguments, they said that it will be up to you to determine whether or not Mr. Ferlazzo on the stand yesterday was telling the truth or if he was lying to get away with it, making up a story now to get away with it. That will be up for you to decide. But the state would just highlight that Mr. Ferlazzo testified to a history of abuse, being assaulted by Emily numerous times, having black eyes, bumps, bruises, but not a single witness got on the stand during this trial and corroborated any of that. No friends that they lived with or hung out with saw any of this alleged abuse. Nobody saw these bruises. The only witness that got on the stand and testified to seeing bruises was Adrienne Bass, Emily's mother, who testified that Emily had bruises on her, who said that Joseph was taunting Emily while they were driving once, so much so, and poking at her so much so that Adrienne feared for their safety. Adrienne told you that at that New Year's Eve event, Emily called her on the phone and she had locked herself in a bathroom and Adrienne could hear Mr. Ferlazzo yelling at her on the other side.
Yes, we do have it. It's called Codral, cold and flu.
That's the evidence that you heard. Further, again, Mr. Ferlazzo testified that Emily had a gun, a detail never mentioned until this trial. The detail that Mr. Ferlazzo now says he left out of his interview with police, the reason, the why he killed Emily, arguably the most important detail for a self-defense claim, the most important detail that most people would have led with, is now the detail that he wants you to believe over everything else. He wants you to believe that detail so much that you acquit him of this crime. But not so important that he didn't tell his sister, he didn't tell his best friend, he didn't tell the police. Specifically, he didn't tell Trooper Cody, he didn't tell Detective Voris, he didn't tell Detective Richardson, he didn't tell Detective Truex, he didn't tell Detective Nolan.
He told Emily, though.
A detail
Told her a
so
lot.
important that he only knows this detail exists because it came to him in flashbacks. This is not a flashback. This is not a merry-go-round. This is reality. And in reality, there is not a single piece of evidence to corroborate this one detail. The truth in this case is not complicated. The truth is simple.
I fucked up there, and that's like, leave it up.
fucked up. I made a mess. I cleaned it up. We believe that the evidence shows beyond a reasonable doubt that Mr. Ferlazzo killed Emily and that he did so willfully, that he did so intentionally, that he did not do so in self-defense, that it was deliberate and it was premeditated. And we ask that you find him guilty of first-degree murder.
Yeah.
Judge, may we approach, please?
So what do they do outside the jury's presence? Anything interesting?
Are you ready?
What page?
12, first paragraph.
Well,
Oh, we have movement. We have no sound, but we have movement. Oop. What's the chat saying? Well, looks like we might have one, ladies and gents. Still no sound. They wouldn't have called all the family and that in if there wasn't something, would they? Let's have some, should we have some mood music? Let me see. Where is it? I like this one. I don't think they're going to. No. Nothing to be nervous about. I really need to go to the loo. Best I do it now.
we do have it. So tell me when you're on the record. We're back in the matter of State versus Felazzo. All parties are present. We do have a verdict. We'll mark this is court's exhibit 3, and we'll bring in the jury. Please be seated. Ms. Brino, I understand the jury has reached a verdict. Is that correct?
We have
And we could state it now. How do you find Mr. Felazzo on the count of first-degree murder, guilty or not guilty? Ms. Jansch, would you like us to poll?
I would, please.
And Mr. Zago, is that your verdict, guilty or not guilty? Ms. Henderson,
I
guilty?
didn't hear
or
what
not
they said.
guilty? Ms. Nault, guilty or not guilty? Ms. Francescani, guilty or not guilty? Mr. Frederickson, guilty or not guilty? Guilty. And Mr. Williams, guilty or not guilty? Guilty. Ms. Major, guilty or not guilty?
Why are they reading their names?
Mr. Wing, guilty or not guilty? Guilty. Ms. Hammond, guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
Mr. Kareem, guilty or not guilty? Guilty. And
Fucking
Ms.
A.
Collins, guilty or not guilty? So says the jury.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ladies and
give shit.
gentlemen, thank you so much for your service. It's clear you were very thoughtful throughout the trial. Really appreciate how you were always on time. You were always listening, taking notes, and really studying.
Guilty on first degree, yeah?
The evidence as it was coming in. Really appreciate your time in this case. Thank you. And you're excused with a great thanks.
Yeah, you see, you deserve a medal for listening to that shit. Wow. Yep. I know.
Any requests by the state?
Judge, just obviously that Mr. Ferlazzo continue to be held without bail.
Judgment of guilt entered at this time.
Yes.
And like the opportunity to file post trial.
Yes, thank you, Judge.
I know what the time limits usually are, but I'd give you a bit more. If that's what you want.
I do. In light of the holidays coming up, I'd like until January 15th.
Any objection?
No, Judge.
January 15th, any response from the state will give you 3 weeks to respond, if that's all right with you. And so we'll, and we'll set it and sometime in mid-February. So 3 weeks would be about February 3rd.
Just reminding the court of my medical schedule. We can deal with it because there'll be a PSI or something.
All right. Anything further from the defense?
No.
Schedule a PSI in this matter?
Yes.
We'll schedule a pre-sentence investigation report, and we'll come back on any motions filed and then for sentence.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Pow, you lose. Douchebag. They're gonna find that hair really pretty in there. Mighty pretty. You pretty boy. Fresh meat. Well, there you have it. We were just in time for that, weren't we? Just caught it. Absolutely. Yeah. Is that Nevermont? Yeah. I thought, what's the point of hiding them from their identities on the live stream if you're going to read out their goddamn names in the first place? Alrighty. Da-da-da. Done. All right, my lovelies. Well, I think we'll call it a night. What is it? 3:30. Yeah, that'll do. Oh, I'm so glad. That's made my day. Night. Yeah. Yep. I'll have to go back and cut out those Christmas lights and songs from this video, and then I shall retire. And I will definitely be snoring. All right, my darlings. Lovely to see you. Thank you for joining us. Yes. 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 You too. I hope you feel better, Elizabeth. Just rest up, darling. Rest up. Rest up. That's what you need. Let's remove that from there. Let me put me back up here. Yes, Justice Family. Yes. Have a fantastic weekend. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. Doesn't get old. Absolutely. And I shall see you. Well, what are we going to do Monday? I'm going to put my thinking cap on the weekend. All right. Mwah. Love you all. Bye.
Justice served in an honest fight. True crime tales till the verdict's right. Solving more than just trivial quests, where sentences rule at the defense rests. Justice served in an honest fight. True crime tales till the verdict's right. Solving more than just trivial quests, where sentences rule and the defense rests.